and that's what like. And I don't. It's not really a feeling. It's just like I'm not attached to it. If I make as much as I made on Tesla this morning, I'm actually not attached to like, oh my god, I can make more. It's just like, oh my god, if the trade's gonna keep going, why would I get out? Less so about like give me more
Yeah,
money, and more
I
so
was
about
actually
be stupid.
I was actually saying this to Jihi earlier that I am typically if I'm entering early in the day, I'm taking my piece, and then if I'm getting back in, I'm getting back in much later on a bigger time frame. It's exactly the same, and I can't even explain this. I think it's because of just it's just that rhythm, isn't it? Like it
Yeah,
just gets broken up. You see it get broken up, but something tells you, oh, oh, it's going to go. It's not going well. That's what I've observed anyway. It doesn't go
yeah,
again, and you could just come back to it. Just come back to it later,
right.
and it will do something for you. I love my 2 hour, you know, midday
Yeah, for sure.
midday
Because it's
flip.
the same thing when it's like it's going against you. Like if I want to trade something up and it goes down, I always think, oh, I'll just wait for the entry back up. But for
Yeah,
some reason, if I'm already trading it, I'm like, that's it. It's gonna only TTO like $1 as opposed to like the $4 that it's actually gonna TTO. Yeah, Carvana's like a perfect example, right? Like you get in, you go to ADR, you get out of your target, you just wait for the hour to set back up, and it does. The fourth hour of the day on Carvana like sends you back to ADR. So yeah, okay, great. It's not what I was asking, but I'm glad we talked about it because I have a different understanding.
You made me happy though, because honestly, I had this exact thought. I literally was doing this. I took a Starbucks trade. I know exactly the trade that made me realize this. Starbucks was on like Strat Attack like 3 weeks ago, or
Mm-hmm.
like a month ago, around the time I had the meeting with Alex. And I was just cooking on Starbucks. What I kept doing was getting a good trade right off the morning open with a reclaim or something like that. And then like on the second hour of the day, I'm trying to add to it on 15. So then I sat back and I back tested for like an hour and a half. And I'm like, once you get that first trade, you don't want to be touching anything unless there's a setup on the 30 or 60.
Right.
So if you're trading the 5 or the 10 or the 15, you can do that. But there needs to be something setting up on the 30 or 60. Or like your 5 or 15 needs to set up like a hammer or like a shooter. Like it's weird. It's like that 30 and 60 becomes much more important as the day goes on
Sure.
compared to like right when the day starts. And I never knew how to like say it, and I feel like it always slips my mind. But like hearing you talk about it, that's a key thing too. Like, yeah,
Right. Yeah. After the first hour, switching to the 30 and 60 is going to be more beneficial in the long run, I think.
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm gonna drop a little bit of I'm going through notes that my one of my first coaches, what, 8.5 years ago, taught me. I paid a guy 5 grand. He was a Elliott Wave trader out of Chicago, and I didn't learn a lot from him, but this one thing I use all the time, which is the first hour is the first play of the day. The rest of the day is going to either prove those guys wrong or right, or it's just going to chop. Right. So the first hour is like, if you think about it in terms, he used the chess metaphor, right? So that's the open. And then the rest of the game is going to be based on, imagine if it was just, so it's what's the first hour doing is the proclamation by the market as to what this particular ticker is going to do today. So I'll use Oracle as the example. If you see the first hour, um, was was down, and so Oracle dropped all morning, and then the afternoon is spent negating them, right? Um, Tesla is the other example. First hour was its proclamation this morning. The rest of the afternoon was just stuck. So I think what happens is the first hour it does its thing, and once you're in the position, you don't have to do anything unless in the afternoon you are either negated, or if it chops around like this and you've got time, then you can hang on to it, right? But if it starts to negate your morning open, then you're going to have to exit the trade. Um, and so an extension of what Dre is saying is, okay, so if you've got the first hour move, what is the play thereafter, right? If it looks like the flip is going to start going green, you might get your extension. And so what I'm going to be doing now is I've got this ORB indicator set up with ADR, right? So this thing, Tesla pushes past ADR in almost no time flat, like right off the open. I think it took, I don't know how many, I think it was in the first 5 minutes it got to ADR. Inside bar in the 5 minutes, and then it goes up. So it hits ADR, goes to the 1.5 extension of the ADR. No, sorry, it breaks ORB, goes to the 1.5 extension of ORB, and doesn't quite make it to the 100, so the double of the ORB, and falls. And so what was the other one today? Crowd, I think she was talking about. Look at the pattern it had today, right? Same idea of the morning hour has its opening statement, and then the rest of the day is either confirming that opening statement, or it'll negate it, or it'll just chop around. And in Crowd's case, it's confirming that statement, so it pushes up and then you get the fourth hour flips. It reclaims that third hour's low and goes outside, so failed to going three. And when you look at it
Also,
on
like,
the grid here with the ORB and the extensions, it hits ADR in the first hour, pops up, hits the 1.5 of ORB, comes back to the ADR, and then pushes up and even goes past the um, double of the ORB. This is a really cool framework. I'm gonna capture this. I like this a lot. Maybe I'll do a video on this later.
can we also break it down by like after that first hour, what it looks like waiting for the 30s and 60s?
Right.
Like,
So in the
let
case
like
in the case of Crowd, for example, you could see that, okay, if you didn't get the first hour, right, and you wait, so let's say you didn't even get the second hour. As soon as you get the third hour and you get in the shooter, then you can pull it down to the 30s and 60s and say, okay, how would you play this? And so we know how to do that now with the reclaim of this shooter, failed to going three, or the 2-2 reversal on the 30 to go back up, at these key levels. Snow was the other one I think Dre had mentioned. So it had the same type of thing, right? The first hour has its opening statement, and then the rest of the day is just chopping around trying to prove it correct or incorrect.
also, can we talk about one of the cool differences about Snow and what was the last one, Crowd? Look how much range Crowd had after the first hour, and look how much range Snow had after the first hour.
So, right, exactly, right? So if you look at, here, I'll pull up the hourly chart here, make it bigger. So if you look at Crowd on the hour, essentially, well, I'd say that looks probably about double the range of the first 60, and Snow got nothing near that, right? There's your
Yeah.
first hour, and then it
Well,
didn't extend that range.
yeah, Snow already completed like 80% of the range in the first hour,
Right.
where Crowd completed like damn near nothing because it gapped down so much.
Really quickly, Mike, the range on which time frame? I'm not understanding.
Um, the hour, which I still feel like even on the day, it still reflects that way. Let's see.
Okay. So you're
Yeah, but
saying that it didn't hit. Hold on, let me pull up.
if you were to draw your broaden information, right? Like
Uh-huh.
from there was a 3 a few days ago before this day opened up. Like,
Right.
um, a 3 is the broaden information. So anytime it just keeps expanding that, you can keep extending your broaden information. You had after that first hour of today, there was still a lot more pivots to come back through. So there was a lot more range. Crowd
Okay, so you're
still
just talking about the daily range, the broad information on the day is what you're talking about.
yeah. It's like it's
Okay.
on the day, but I also look at the day and the 60 kind of the same because they're just showing the information a little bit less, like, which is more candles. So that's how I look at it.
So you're saying, okay, I see what you're saying now. So like all the pivots that crowd still had is
Yeah,
what you're
comparison.
considering the range, right? Compared to how many pivots Snow had, because Snow took out practically all the pivots the first hour of the day.
Yeah, so basically everyone already got smoked in Snow. Anybody who was short got fried. They got cooked. But there were still a lot of people in crowd who were short who thought they were okay.
Sure,
And that
sure.
second hour it was like, nah, you need to lose some money if you want to hold on to these shorts.
Right, I follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that is the nuance of my original question of like, do you hold after that first hour? And the answer has to do with how much more range. I guess that's the answer to every question, right? Like, how much more range are you at exhaustion risk kind of situation?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, no, that makes sense. But also, like, I love a wickless candle. Like, and you can see on Crowd's hour, hour number 2 has like practically no wick. Like, that for me is just so much strength. There's no reason to get out, unless obviously that flips red.
I love your analogy on that. I've heard you say that before. Because
So yeah, okay.
What I'm used to hearing people say is like, if there's a wick, that means they tried it but they couldn't, so it means it's strong. But I like the idea of what you're saying too, because it's like, oh, it just went. There is no wick. It just, or there's barely any wick. Like,
Yeah,
we don't even want
because
to
it's
think
like
about selling.
yeah, exactly. Like, there's no point. I'm not going to make it. Spy did the same thing today. Like that inside hour, it was just like, oh, buyer's not even here. Like they're like, you can have it. That's so much strength to the downside for at least that full hour because there is no one trying to buy. AMD did it. Like there's quite a few tickers that did it today on the 60. AMD, I think it had 2 of them. Let me pull it up before I contradict myself. Yeah, AMD did it twice today. So for me, a wickless candle is a really good sign, and it also allows me to set my stops like at an ideal point. Because if I flip continuity on that candle, then there's no need for me to still be there.
Yeah, it's actually like, it's probably the most optimal like trade to take, because like your stop is like 14 cents or something,
Right.
rather than like $1.20. Because those red to green moves, putting a stop at the low fries me. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. This stop is what I want it to be. It's 30 cents.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm glad we had this conversation. I have a new thing to try out tomorrow. Okay. Did anyone swing anything?
You mentioned
Go
this
ahead.
wickless thing on AMD on the 60, and I want to highlight that. This is um, at the core of it. This is what's actually making trades work really well. Is at the flip, you don't have these wicks which says, okay, right at the flip, the buyers come in, then you got time to prove them wrong, and it goes down. None of that bullshit happens here on this particular candle. Right at the, as soon as the flip starts, it sells, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is how the auction works, right? They don't even like, they're not even looking at the time. It's just an extension of this whole move down, right there. It comes down as soon as it goes, and it's a continuation of the sell. And so then how do you do your risk management on that? Is as soon as it changes continuity. I mean, that is as strat brilliant as you can get. It's perfect.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like when I started
fantastic
trading, I
observation.
was trading crypto, but it was very much like you want to trade with the market movers. And I think one thing, like so often in the strat, it's like you need people to trade against, you need people to trade against, but like we never talk about like who you want to be trading with. So seeing wickless candles for me is like I'm obviously trading with the market movers.
Right.
Yeah. This is crazy too, because this AMD trade, I was looking at this today. I just didn't have the account for it. I was
Yeah,
like, yeah, these contracts are juiced, bro. I'm not. But like
yeah.
literally after that first hour, I seen it go red on the inside bar, and I was like, oh, I can take this trade. I'm willing to take this down. We had a 212 at the top of
Where was
this.
Even start do a small account to like my account small and steady. Oh, I keep bringing up big time. Tim.
Sorry, guys, I'm breaking up here. I'm gonna drop off. I'll catch you all tomorrow.
Peace.